With the introduction of Garuda, we also got a brand new crossbow, and I was super excited about this one because, well, there's not that many in Warframe. As always, my name is Leyzar, and today we're going to be diving deeper into this Mastery Rank 9 primary weapon. As per the usual, I'm going to be covering a cheap build, something affordable that anybody can build, but of course we also have the classic endgame setup with a Riven. That being said though, please keep in mind that my builds and guides follow a new player friendly approach, simply because there's a lot of info here and I want anybody watching to understand how the weapon functions and how it should be built. So if you're a veteran of the game and already know most of this stuff, please bear with me. And with that out of the way, let's jump into the Nagantaka. Let's begin by having a look at how the weapon behaves without any mods equipped, and for that I'm simply gonna be taking a couple of free shots. The Nagantaka is a semi-automatic crossbow when it comes to its primary fire, and as you can see you got kinda slow travel time, and there's also a bit of an arcing when it comes to the projectile itself, if you manage to find that trail of blood and all whatnot. Of course you can change that by changing the color of your energy. For the most part the weapon is very sluggish when it comes to primary fire, and the reload is at 2.3 seconds, so it's nothing I would call fantastic, but you do have a secondary fire, so what you can do is tap your secondary fire once, after which the weapon will fully unload all of the magazine, no matter if you have 9 or 1 for example, in automatic fashion. So when you have a beefy target you do have that kind of a solution, and the fire rate as you saw there is a whole lot more impressive. The recoil on the weapon is mostly negligible, as you can see in automatic fire or secondary fire. It doesn't really move all that much, so you are gonna be able to land your shots on the target, considering once again you do have to lead them. You gotta take into account that blasted travel time, but again this is a crossbow. So let's jump into stats to see precisely what we're dealing with. Mod capacity for the Nagantaka is going to be 60 out of 60, and if yours has only 30 out of 30, you can jump into actions and install the Orokin Catalyst. This one can be found from alerts, invasions, or if you're lucky from the daily sortie, or you can also pay 20 plat to have one installed. Next, my weapon has been formatted a total of 4 times, but this was done only for the purpose of testing. For the weapon build I'm recommending you guys free format should do it. The accuracy for both semi and burst fire modes is gonna be 40. Slapping heavy caliber on won't really affect the trajectory of the main projectile, however if you're gonna go on ahead and add multi-shot then it's gonna get pretty ugly, so I don't really recommend heavy cal unless you wanna forsake multi-shot, which yes is a pretty bad idea. The critical chance, critical damage and status chance will be identical between primary and secondary fire modes, but keep in mind that your fire rate does get changed heavily, more than double in secondary fire mode, and you also have a speedier reload. Take a look at this, 2.0 in burst and 2.3 in semi. So for example, if you manage to remember that when you're low on your clip, you can go to burst mode so you can get a faster reload. Critical chance is 15% with a multi of 2.3x. The multi is absolutely awesome, too bad about that low base critical chance. Now I think 15% is still good enough to work with, at least from my point of view. Magazine of 9 for both fire modes, of course, silent on primary fire mode and alarming on secondary fire mode, so keep that in mind if you want to take this one into spy missions without hushed invisibility. The Riven disposition, 3 out of 5, which is normal. This is the default, if you want to call it like that, Riven disposition that the developer awards any brand new weapon. Status chance sky high at 39%, and we got a ton and a half of slash on the weapon. So that means that through that weapon's innate 39% status chance, you're going to be able to proc a whole lot of slashes. Impact is also present just to piss me off, but there you go, you got a decent amount of puncture as well. So let's start modding this one. Serration, mandatory 165% extra damage. Heavy caliber, we're going to skip it this time, but we're going to go straight to multi-shot with 90% from split chamber and 60% from vigilante armaments. The set bonus in this case isn't really gonna provide a huge benefit, but that one should only be an afterthought anyway. Next, critical chance and critical damage. Let's see how much crit can we get out of this thing. Point strike will get me 150%, which will mean 37.5. Definitely not fantastic. Once again, pity about that multi, because with the vital sense alone it goes to 5.1x. Normally this is when I tell you that, listen, we're gonna go for an elemental build and then we're gonna go for a slash build, but in the case of the Nagantaka, it's simply not worth going for straight elemental. The weapon wants to slash and simply performs a whole lot better with a slash based build, so that's what we're gonna be doing. When it comes to building a weapon for slash, we gotta take into account where is my slash coming from. In the case of the Nagantaka, you're gonna be getting your slash through the weapon's innate status chance. Right now I'm up to 17.9% because of all the multi-shot I put on the weapon, and my slash is by far the highest. When building a weapon for slash, it can be a very good idea to build the viral elemental combo. Viral is the combination between cold and toxin, and on a status proc it will reduce the maximum health of a target to 50% for the duration of the viral effect. So in a way, for that limited amount of time, your slashes are kinda dealing double damage and you can kill your target off while under the effects of viral. The disadvantage is that the viral effect might slip off the target and you have to reshoot it again, and that kinda destroys the whole viral and slash effect. But anyway, let's give it a go. Cold and toxin. Should we go for the 90 mods, the prime mods, or the 60-60 mods in the case of the Nagantaka? Because once again, your slashes are gonna be coming through the weapon status chance, go straight for the 60-60s. And don't worry, none of these are expensive. We got rhyme rounds. As for toxin, we're gonna be going to Malignant Force. 99.2% shot status chance, with slash being the highest. Now I know that viral may seem highest now, 1263, but keep in mind the IPS rules. Impact, puncture, and slash, the physical types, have a 4 times greater chance at proccing over elemental types such as corrosive. So my slash is close to 4000, so a whole lot higher than the viral. I'm still gonna be getting plenty of viral effects on my targets, however. As for the last mod slot, well, we can debate a little bit over here. What about Fang Fusillade? I know a lot of you guys like this one, 120% extra slash. Slapping this on the weapon will not be a mistake because you're gonna be increasing slash's chance to proc, and that is a huge deal considering we are going for a slash based build in combination with viral. But here's another idea. You can get just a couple of more slashes, not a lot, okay, just a few more with Hunter Munitions. This one requires a crit in order to trigger, so there you go, you got a 37.5 crit chance. You're not gonna be seeing a ton of slashes on your target unless you couple this baby with Arcane Avenger, which will give you a 30% bonus critical chance additive after going to 67.5, or perhaps with Harrow, or a Derzakavat, Smitakavat buff, and so on and so forth. The point is that normally Hunter Munitions is a very, very powerful mod, but in the case of the Nagantaka, it's only gonna fill up the option slot. If you feel like Shred, Prime Shred, or more punch through with Metal Auger would be a better idea, then by all means go for it. The meat and bones of the build stay in the rest of the 7 mods. Hunter Munitions, it's only gonna grant a very small benefit in this case. So we're gonna be spawning in Corrupted Heavy Gunner and a whole bunch of guys from Fortuna level 120. And let's see what this puppy is capable of. I'm gonna be putting roughly 5 to 6 arrows in this guy's head, and you will see that the slashes are absolutely bloody fantastic. 2900 on a high and only like 500 or 600 on a low. Of course, the corpus are a much lesser threat, and you can also use the secondary fire or the burst fire to absolutely mow down your targets. The orange crit was possible, by the way, only because of Vigilante armaments. As you can see, the weapon packs one hell of a punch. I mean, take a look at that. Absolutely bloody brilliant, considering I'm not using any fancy Rivens, Argon scopes, prime mods, and so on and so forth. So the weapon can shred. The problem with the weapon doesn't have anything to do with its power, it has something to do with its usability. It's easy to hit stationary targets, but if we unpause them, it's gonna be a whole lot more difficult for us to land our arrows consistently. But as you can see, the weapon does pack one serious punch, and once again, this is the base build I'm recommending to you guys. There's nothing expensive here, and once again, if you feel like Hunter Munitions is simply not doing it for you, swap it out for something like Shred, Prime Shred, Fang Fusillade, and so on and so forth. Now we're gonna go to a Riven setup, and this is a loaner from a friend. No, I don't have that kind of plat, as you can see. We got damage and multi-shot, and we're gonna be talking about Nagantaka Rivens. I would advise you go against critical chance and critical damage in case of the Nagantaka, unless you plan to use it only with Harrow or something like that. The ideal Riven from my point of view is going to be damage, multi-shot, and a negative. Perhaps an element? Well, not really, considering you're going to be making viral and you already have a 99.9% in this case at least, or 99.2. Just with standard mods, shot status chance, it's pointless to go into more status chance. So again, damage, multi-shot with a negative is what I would look for in my Nagantaka Riven. The rest is pretty much the same, and the Riven took up the spot of Hunter Munitions. So let's test the weapon and see how it does. Once again, same targets as before. We're gonna go straight to secondary fire. Honestly, in normal missions, this is what I use like 8 times out of 10. Unless I know I can kill my target with a single arrow, such as this, then I'm going for the secondary fire mode. It's simply a whole lot more satisfying to use, and once again, the reload is just a fair bit quicker. My problem with the weapon lies in its sluggishness. The primary fire is very slow, but you do feel it when it actually impacts a target. These are level 120, and let's be honest here, you're not gonna be seeing level 120 just every single time. You gotta stay in a defense or a survival or something like that quite some time to see this level of targets. And of course a Riven will make a difference. It's dispo free and the weapon performed quite well. One more thing to do, bump up everything with Warframe buffs. And I know you guys want to see Harrow, so let's go to Lord Harrow and check out them buffs. I'm not even going to be using an aura anymore as the weapon doesn't really require it. But if you're the kind of player that simply wants to squeeze out as much damage as you can out of your weapon, you can go for something like Rifle Amp, 27% extra damage to rifles. When fighting Grenier, keep in mind that corrosive projection will always be a good idea, but Rifle Amp will grant its benefit regardless of the target. And you can increase that 27%, which again is not a whole lot, if you want to use something like Coaction Drift. If you're confused about how much of extra benefit you're getting from using this one, please check the wiki. They have a nice, easy to understand table there. As for the arcanes we're going to be using, of course Arcane Rage is absolutely fantastic with the Nagantaka. Please don't double stack these because you're not going to be getting the 240% extra damage. This one on headshot, 10% chance for plus 120% damage to rifles for 16 seconds. And while this arcane may read to rifles, it's actually to primary weapons. As for our second one, we're going to be going with Arcane Avenger, so I'm going to be going to 67.5 critical chance on the Nagantaka. Another option other than this? Nah, just simply go for Avenger. Honestly, I feel that bonus critical chance effects are really powerful on the Nagantaka. So let's spawn in those targets again, and of course this time we're going to be unpausing them so we can simulate a more realistic situation. Of course these guys are going to start fighting themselves, and I'm going to activate my fourth ability, which will get me that fantastic crit. If you don't have Harrow, I know he's a pain and a half to farm, but do try to get this frame. He is absolutely fantastic and he will make one hell of an impact in any team. My second ability will grant me increased fire rate as well as reload speed. And as soon as my critical chance goes live, of course I'm going to be trying to go for headshots because you're getting a 200% bonus critical chance additive after. Yes, that's a mouthful on headshots, but on body shots you're only going to be getting 50%. So as you can see, that headshot resulted in a 17 plus bleed. One shot, easy mode, no problem at all. The Nagantaka packs one serious punch, there's no doubt about that. The problem with the weapon, or the drawback, would be the usability. It's not exactly easy using a crossbow. As you can see, you can miss some shots and it can be difficult to get headshots on a regular basis, but if you do, it is absolutely bloody glorious. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. If you got any feedback for me, then by all means, leave it in the comment section down below. Now, I can't realistically promise you that any weapon suggestions for a review will be done by next time or even within a week, because these videos do take quite a bit of time, but I will be reading through each and every comment. You can also find me on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, all the usual places. But until next time, my friends, bye-bye.